Hello, friends. I'm Cowboy Jobu, and thank you guys for watching, commenting, and subscribing to the Jobu Sports Report. And if you haven't subscribed yet, click over here on the picture of me and Sean Lee. That way, when we live stream like tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern, you'll get a notification, so that way you can tune in and be part of the conversation. Now, of course, it's another day, day 2 of NFL Frenzy, free agency, going on steroids. Here we go with another day of Tony Romo is still a Dallas Cowboy. We went from him going to be released yesterday to now the possibility of him being traded. Who knows what the hell is going on? So let's go to First Take with the Stephen A. Smith, and see what their take is.
Buckle up for this one. Very interesting news regarding Tony Romo. According to our Chris Mortensen, he is now expected to be traded rather than released. The Broncos and the Texans are both in the mix, according to league sources. Details are not clear, but the Cowboys now believe they have a trade that will work for Romo and the team. In an Instagram video, Romo thanked fans talking about now saying that Tony Romo will be traded rather than released. Should the Texans and Broncos call the Cowboys' bluff on Romo?
Well, the Cowboys aren't bluffing. I mean, if Bob McNair and John Elway want to play poker with Jerry Jones, good luck to them. One thing I feel confident about Jerry Jones is going up to the gambling table and coming out with a winning hand. At least this, Max and Stephen A., I feel very confidently Jerry's not going to come out with a losing hand, and somebody in that three-person game is going to. Somebody is going to lose, and it's going to be the person without Tony Romo. This is my argument. Follow this. Number one, let's talk about who we're dealing with here. This is a franchise quarterback, at the very least a starting quarterback in the NFL. Those don't grow on trees. A guy with the 4th highest career passer rating in NFL history. That's who we're talking about. Second, on the injury front, he's going to play. A guy named Dr. Chow was the team doctor for the Chargers for 17 years. He's pointed out Romo's injuries are results of trauma, not weakness. These would happen to 23-year-old quarterbacks like they happened with Bryce Petty, or Cam Newton suffered from a similar injury. So Romo has the same prospect for playing next year as other quarterbacks. Trauma.
You came on this show and quoted a Dr. Chow in San Diego to make your point about Romo and Dallas.
That's right.
Go ahead.
That's right.
Go ahead, Will.
All right,
Keep
we're
going.
We're all on the same page. Good. Okay. Groundwork laid.
Go
Third,
ahead.
now we're talking about the Houston Texans and the Denver Broncos, both of which have Super Bowl capabilities, but not with their current quarterbacks, not with who's playing right now. So as far as I'm concerned, if they don't make the trade for Romo right now, either the Houston Texans or the Denver Broncos are admitting to their fan bases, we're not playing for Super Bowl this year. We're going to try to develop Tom Savage, maybe Trevor Siemian and Paxton Lynch, but we're not really playing for a Super Bowl. Because if we were, we'd pay what it takes to get Tony Romo in the building. Jerry Jones isn't going to lose, but the Broncos or Texans will.
Go ahead, Max.
If it was just an issue of an injury that led to Dak Prescott's opportunity, and that was it, then Tony Romo would fetch a second-round pick, you got to figure, something like that, because he's an excellent quarterback. And if you can anticipate that he'll be there for your team, he'd be worth it. But you can't, because it's not just an injury. He's consistently hurt, his collarbone and back, consistently year over year now, and it's leading to a situation where you really can't count on him to be your starting quarterback over the long haul. He's actually best suited, I think, to be the backup in Dallas, where if anything happens to Dak, you talk about a plug-and-play guy who knows the system. He's perfect there. But if that is not going to happen and they seem intent in freeing up that cap space because of Dak, okay. Then the question is, what's he worth to these other teams? My claim is he's not worth the same to every team. Should Denver call his bluff? Sure, Denver could call Jerry Jones' bluff and offer nothing and just see if he's released, because Denver, behind a porous offensive line, is not Tony Romo is not a great fit for that team, considering his injury history, especially when you consider John Elway won a Super Bowl and Brock Osweiler got him most of the way there. He didn't, maybe you'd say you need a Romo or a Peyton Manning to get you over the top later in the season, then there's some sense there, but you can make a run. If you're Elway, you have to figure, with a less than mediocre quarterback. He makes a lot of sense for Houston. Houston, he's worth more to, I think, than anybody else. For that reason, if I were Houston, I would give up a 5th rounder, maybe a 4th rounder, maybe, and that's about as far as I would go, because as much as I say you can't really rely on Romo because of the health, The fact is, should he somehow navigate his way through a season, or they should win enough and then he's ready for the playoffs, Romo on Houston could win a Super Bowl this year, and he'd be doing it right in Texas, where the Cowboys live. How could you pass that up if you're the Houston Texans and you've never really made inroads into the Cowboys' popularity in state? I think it'd be tough to pass it up. Fifth rounder, yes, maybe a fourth. That's as high as I go if I were the Texans.
I'd call their bluff. I'd sit there and say, I'd call the Dallas Cowboys bluff. That's what I'm just saying. That's just a question. I'd call the bluff. I wouldn't give him anything. Let's see. Let's roll the dice. First of all, I think Tony Romo is more valuable to the Denver Broncos than he would be to the Houston Texans, because I think Houston's thinking long term. The Denver Broncos are about now, considering the personnel that they have in place, how they've already captured the Super Bowl with most of that personnel in place. And Tony Romo has a far better chance of lasting one season than he does of lasting two or beyond. If you're Houston, you want somebody to last two or beyond. If you're Denver, you want somebody right now, continue to develop Trevor Siemian, assuming he doesn't end up with the Jets or Paxton Lynch or somebody like that, and go from there. But here's the reason why I say calling a bluff. Will Kane, let me go down the list for you, okay? Let me just have some fun with you here. You know, I got Tony Romo's injury history right here in front of me, Will.
Great.
Please allow me to read some of it to you. 2008. Oh, he was out, Max. I don't know if you know about this injury. He had the broken pinky finger. Let's make sure let's point that out. He messed up his pinky, okay? And then in 2010, we got the broken left collarbone. And then in 2013, the ruptured disc. And in 2014, 2 transverse process fractures, okay? Then 2015, a broken left collarbone again, another broken left collarbone again the same season after he tried to come back. The next year, compression fracture, the L1 vertebrae.
Okay.
Those are the injuries in Tony Romo's career. So what I'm
The
saying
back
to
is
you
debilitating.
is this. What I'm saying to you, Will, is simply this. You want to sit up there and say, we ain't moving. You know what? We're not going to let Tony Romo go. We want to trade him because he has this extreme value. All right, show me what value he has. That's what I do.
Listen, the next 2 minutes are going to be very important. There's going to be a lot of education laid down. You have a real opportunity that very few people do. You get to learn something. I'm going to have 2 points. You get to learn on both
Where's
of
the
these.
teacher?
First
Who's the teacher? I'm looking for a professor. I can't find him. Where the hell is he? I can't find him.
Where is he? One every day, Stephen A.
Me and Dr. Chow.
Please.
Me and Dr.
Please.
Chow. So
Dr.
listen,
Chow.
here comes Dr. Chow. You got it? You drop a 300-pound man on anyone, including a 23-year-old quarterback, it's going to cause trauma to them. Max, Tony doesn't have osteoporosis. I said that on this program weeks ago. Dr. Chow said it recently. He doesn't have weak bones. It's not degenerative. These are big hits caused by Tony extending plays. Tony does extend plays. If Tony sits behind the pocket, plays behind a good offensive line. Hold on, don't interrupt for 1 second. This is your education period.
Compromised.
Listen, this class is in session. Just let it finish. If Tony will be healthy, he has no bigger risk than any other quarterback in the NFL, despite your litany of injuries you just rattled off, Stephen A. Now becomes the important point, Stephen A. You lose because you don't understand the game. It's why you lose debates to me.
You do.
It's why you
And
lose
you do.
here. Let me explain
And
you something.
You
Listen
who
to
was
me.
running for office
Listen.
in Texas in all likelihood, you understand football. Keep going. I want to hear this. Go ahead.
You can't win a game if you don't know what's being played. The bluff is not between the Cowboys and the Broncos or the Cowboys and the Texans. The bluff is between the Broncos and the Texans. One of those 2 teams is going to lose. Their alternative is Jay Cutler. Their drop back is Jay Cutler, Trevor Siemian, Paxton Lynch, or Tom Savage. That's the bluff. Jerry has no losing hand in the game. So you want to tell me to call the Cowboys bluff? I tell you, you don't even know what game is being played. This is Broncos versus Texans. The loser doesn't have a Super Bowl quarterback. Now play.
First of all, when you talk about knowing the game, yes, the best point you made is when you brought up Jay Cutler, because that's the only thing that made me pause. The only thing that made me pause is the possibility that you could end up with Jay Cutler. You got me there. Absolutely. We don't want him. It's an allergic reaction to him. You got me there. But in terms of Houston versus Denver, excuse me, again, if I got questions as to whether or not Tony Romo is going to last a damn season, who are you as the Dallas Cowboys to act like you could come to me and extract value from a dude that I think has questionable value?
Because the rebuttal is, listen, because the rebuttal is, if you don't give it to me, Houston will. That's how negotiations work.
The game is being played. The bidding is between Texas and Denver. Will, you're right about that, which is why the answer is
like we don't get that.
He's worth
unbelievable.
He's worth more to Houston, which was my answer in the first place, because Houston is ready. Houston, not a great offensive line, but better than Denver. Warm weather, dome, offensive weapons. Great defense, getting J.J. Watt back, like it's all in-state in Texas, and unless he's like Willie Mays with the Mets and it's a mockery of himself, which I don't think it is when he's on the field, he can really put them over the top, so he's worth more to the Texans. That part is correct, Will, but when you just say, well, any 300-pound guy in a collision is going to hurt a quarterback, wait a minute. Yes, if there was a pinky and a collarbone and something on his toe, that would be right. That could happen to anyone's freak injury, though some people's bones are a little more brittle than others. Okay. Maybe the way they don't avoid tackles, different than others. But when it involves the lower back, the L45S1, fractures to the vertebrae and slip discs and things like that. Which are bones. That is debilitating. It's chronic. It weakens that area.
That is not a medical opinion.
And players are rarely the same after that and more prone to injuring that area again. That's the way it is.
I have great respect for you, but you cannot. That's not a medical opinion you're giving. That's not. That you don't have an MD.
Yes, it is.
You have no MD.
Because I don't have an MD, I can't have an opinion about obvious facts.
Not a medical one.
Can you quote a doctor? You're not a doctor. Can you quote? I got Dr. Chow. What do you got?
I've had slip discs, like herniated discs.
That's an absolutely valid point. I can't believe you're making me say this. That's an absolutely valid point on the part of Will Kane, Max. At least he quoted a damn doctor. You
mean to tell me if you don't have a medical...
When did you get your medical license? When did that happen?
Guys, is it hard to play on a broken foot, for example? You know the answer is yes.
The point.
You need to be
a
doctor to know that.
Whatever vertebrae, you the one that brought all of that up, like you were a doctor. Will made a valid point there.
Happened.
You brought up a valid point.
No, finding information about that stuff is easy. Finding information about that stuff is easy. It's readily accessible, and you can totally form an opinion about it once you have the information without a medical degree. In fact,
you acted like it was you said it as if you were stating your opinion as if you were giving medical expertise. Will is right about that. I didn't even want to get on Will now after that nonsense you just
That's not medical expert. That's absurd. When I have the flu, I feel run down. Are you a doctor? Do you know? Can you say that? When your lower back is compromised, it's more likely to be compromised in the future. It's a debilitating and chronic injury.
Why can't you just say his back is compromised?
I don't want to kick Steven. Don't kick him while he's down. Max, that was...
Oh, my Lord.
You overstepped there. But look, there's no price too high to pay.
You both at the same time,
Listen,
or are you really not aware?
Max, fourth, fifth, doesn't matter. There's no price too high to pay. If you want to win a Super Bowl, and Tony Romo is the guy to help you do that, there's no price too high.
If you want to... Hold on, whoa. If you want to win a Super Bowl for a dude, to acquire a dude that never played in one, never won one, never even played in an NFC Championship game?
Tony
Romo.
What
the hell are you talking about, Will?
Tony Romo, Jay Cutler, Savage, Lynch,
got me there.
Simeon.
Yeah, when you bring up Jay Cutler, you got me there. That's the only argument you can get. You bring up Jay Cutler, I'm frozen.
Gosh.
Well, that was fun.
I think
Garoppolo.
I enjoyed that.
Admission of victory.
Good job. First one. How does it feel?
Big mouth. Big mouth.
There's a rumor being spread about me and the crew, about something